to the basket, passes it off.
This rich texture is the fabric of experiences brought to school each day by the students in the St. Paul School District. The sounds may not include English. The sights are distinctly urban. This diverse background is both a gift and an opportunity. The Urban Learner Framework acts as a bridge between cultures and types of learning experiences. It is the bridge to lifelong learning. Cultural, economic, and language diversity is one theme of the Urban Learner Framework.
You can't see it as a disadvantage that you just have 20 kids in your room or 25 kids and they come from different nationalities or different cultures. You have to see this as a plus.
I tell the children, you know, I am so glad that you all have different color skin, different color eyes, hair. Some of you are short, some of you are tall, because if you all look the same, I wouldn't be able to tell who you are. And the students always look at themselves and look at their skin and they say, yeah, Mrs. Long, you're right.
Students' knowledge of the community is integrated into curriculum and instruction.
I don't think adapting a curriculum to the urban learner philosophy is as much as changing everything as it is identifying areas in your curriculum that tie into the students' lives. Maybe that involves bringing in a guest speaker that has some experience with the topic that you're working with.
When I choose stories, when I choose curriculum, when I choose what I'm going to teach, it's got to draw from their background. And we have great opportunities to teach each other about culture and to teach acceptance.
If you are a good teacher, you have to connect with every one of your students. If you are not able to connect, you are not going to be able to be an effective teacher. And the connection is not just through the curriculum, it's through their personal life, through their emotional life, through their family life, through their community life. And that's when it takes much more than just deliver curriculum nowadays to teach in the urban learner setting.
We don't live in this vacuum. I mean, once they leave here, they're going to be out there in the world working with all different kinds of people. And we need to be exposed and, you know, try to appreciate the differences. Gosh, how boring would it be if we didn't?
Students' values, beliefs, and interests are integrated into the life of the school.
Here on the west side, where we have the bridges around us, the idea of bridging and going across bridges, I think, is really important. It's good to have your own community, but it's also good to be able to connect to that community and help it grow with all the resources beyond.
Success can be heard in Fia Van Lee's flawless Spanish accent. Success can be seen in Ben Roberts' prize-winning Black History poster that illustrates the word freedom.
Nobody can stop you from really doing like what you want, and like people like want to do that.
And success can be felt in the business community through summer internships with students such as C. Yang. The Urban Learner Framework helps bridge the gap between cultures, languages, and economic backgrounds. The abilities and potential of all students are recognized within the Urban Learner Framework.
I think the first assumption that you have to make is that all students have potential. And you can see looks of confusion at a certain point where they might need to have a little extra help in a certain area, or maybe they need to work with somebody alongside somebody who seems to be getting the concept. But I think you have to be aware that, you know, not all students are going to learn at the same rate.
Recognition of multiple abilities is integrated into curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Autonomy is fostered, and the Urban Learner Framework helps students achieve their graduation standards.
One of the challenges we have is that they're not really familiar with what happens on a day-to-day basis in the workplace. Downtown St. Paul, what happens beyond the glass in those tall buildings. And I think it's our job to help them explore that and to bring them to different work sites and connect that with their lives. And I think it becomes more memorable, easier for them to apply the information.
You have children who come to kindergarten who can read, children who have never seen their name in print before, but it's important to help them and to assure them that they can do and that they can produce. They will learn. And we design our lessons so that they meet the needs of all of the children.
Higher order thinking skills are developed. Creativity and leadership are celebrated.
Well, I think it's shedding the notion that the teacher knows all and students line up in a row and just soak up information. It assumes that students can learn on their own given some basic principles, and I try to have students do that as much as they can.
Thor Hua Zong is a shining example of a student who is fully realizing his potential. He learned English in a Cambodian refugee camp, but was in ESL classes for just 2 years. He picked up a guitar only a few months ago, but gives it the dedicated attention he gives to every subject at school. He was honored with the Peacemaker of the Year award. Thor Hua is an example of the Urban Learner Framework helping span the distance to student abilities and potential. It also focuses on the critical role of motivation. Interests are recognized and students are provided with opportunities for expression.
I've just seen kids develop this amazing sense of, I can do this, accomplishment, from something as simple as just reciting a poem in front of a group of people. So I had them work on some poems that they chose which poems they wanted to do. I brought them down here and said, go to it. And then they work in groups to create scenes around the poems, and they're responsible for directing the other people that are working as the scenery or backdrop for their poems. So that way, they don't get that sense of it's right or wrong. I mean, this is about creative expression.
Students receive constructive feedback. Errors are viewed as opportunities for instruction and alternative strategies.
I think they need affirmation and praise, and they need to be reassured that they do something well. And they just glow, they smile, they're proud of themselves. I have them also do a self-evaluation of projects too. I give them my feedback, but I also want them to look at the criteria for quality work. And so it's individualized. Grading is individualized.
I think it's real important to let students know how they're doing all the time.
The focus is on themes, projects, and active or cooperative learning opportunities.
Students really respond to that, and they'd like to know where they're at, just like we like to know in our jobs how well we're doing. And I think we get caught up in formal evaluation and testing a little bit too much.
Urban learners who are motivated to learn become motivated to succeed. Like Luis Castillo, born in Mexico, whose family moved to Minnesota to escape California gangs. He's flourishing at Cleveland Middle School, as is Tony Balsimo and Deborah Morales at Arlington. Flourishing like these grade school mentors who pass along their enthusiasm and strengthen their own motivation in the process. And like Alicia Menchaca, recent Arlington graduate and mother of a 3-year-old. Resilience is both an attribute and a result of the Urban Learner Framework. It is nurtured by opportunities to problem solve.
We met with 3M employees and our students, and they did problem solving. And they were overwhelmed at the students' abilities to problem solve, at their resiliency to come back, their tenacity with a problem. Also, their humor in working together, traits that they had never expected.
We want to solve problems for students. Teachers love their students. They want to solve the problems for them, and I think it's real hard sometimes to let go, to have the students become frustrated. Frustration is a hard thing to sit back and watch, observe. Eventually what I found is students will come up with the answer. They might use outside resources, they might tap into their friends or their classmates, but they'll come up with the answer.
Students' experiences and abilities are valued. A sense of autonomy is supported. Caring and support are evident in relationships between students, staff, parents.
As urban teachers, we need to do whatever we can do to catch kids being good and build on that, to compliment children, to befriend the kids, honestly. One of the first things I think we need to do at the beginning of the year is just build that rapport immediately. Because if you don't get that and you don't get the trust of the kids, if you don't start helping them feel good about themselves, I don't really think that there's anything much that you can teach them.
And if the students can look back and say, well, I remember how they treated me, how important they thought I was, and how they educated me, I think that'll help them later on in life.
Resilience means that students are given a positive sense of their future.
I show them, the 8th graders, a pay scale. I compare 3M engineers' pay scale to a teacher's pay scale and show them how many years in the business, how much education. I teach them about lane changes, and they learn about BAs and MAs and PhDs. They find out that it isn't just money and it isn't just training, it's what you love to do. And so they get the idea. They can't leave Cleveland without that idea that learning is lifelong.
We have to make sure that students know that learning doesn't end in the classroom at 2 o'clock, that learning is a lifelong process, and we have to show them how to do that. They have to have the tools to become lifelong learners and to know that there's a world of opportunities, to use a cliche phrase, but it's true, they really have the world at their feet.
Resilience and the drive to succeed can be seen in the students in Lori Laughlin's acting class. Students like Jeremiah Hudson.
I like theater, favorite class, because we get to explore and you get to be somebody that you're really not.
Talia Shaver.
I really believe I can get what I need to get if I just keep doing what I'm doing and not worry about what everybody else is doing.
And Martha Majeski.
Okay. If I try my best, if I'm motivated to do things, if I listen to the teachers, if I pay attention, then I can do my best in school. I can go far in life.
The Urban Learner Framework is a bridge to the future.
The children in our schools, they are our future. We are a bridge to the world. The custodians, the secretary, all of us here, we all have an important role in helping to educate the children.
One day on the bus, one of the boys said after his first career exploration, he always thought that people in businesses were all stuffy. And he never thought he would be able to talk to them. But he had a great time with his partner. They talked about football. They talked about their favorite music. The human bridge went over all the differences. And he had a new view of himself and what he could do.
The Urban Learner Framework, bridging the gap for all of us.